everyone. This is Pam Reese with Adventures in Aging, and I'm here with my friend
Gary Vandenberg. Pam, it's great to be back again for another episode. I want to say thank you to our sponsor, Stridelight. Stridelight provides quality diabetic shoes, custom inserts, foot orthotics, AFOs, and other lower extremity products for over 20 years. They've been doing a great job with people, and just ask your doctor or podiatrist about Stridelight, stridelight.net. Thank you. Pam, what's our topic today?
So, Gary, have you ever heard the term bucket list?
Bucket List. That was that movie. I think they had Jack Nicholson,
right?
Morgan Freeman. These guys are dying. They want
That's
to go
right.
to Mount Everest. They want to go to Mount Everest and do some other crazy kind of things. And it was a great movie. But I hear that all the time.
Yeah, it's on my bucket list. Or what's your bucket list? So, did you know that you can have a bucket list, and it's not just before death? It can be throughout your whole life.
Oh, yeah. One of my kids, he's in his 20s. He has a bucket list. And, the thing is, he knocks it off every year. He goes,
oh, my gosh.
Does wild things. He goes wild places and has quite an adventure.
I love that. So he comes up with new adventures every year.
All the time. Usually it ties it in with his birthday, and it works out great and things. Yeah. The thing with bucket lists, though, is, there's a lot that I've already done.
Really?
I found a few things that I thought that I would probably never do in my life that probably could have ended up on a bucket list.
So as you look through your life, did you ever think of those things as in those terms? So this is an experience that you want to accomplish in your lifetime, and I think I'll do it today.
Or, in the coming months. The one thing was the marathon. People always talk about running marathons. That's typically not an easy thing to do. I said, I'd love to do one. And it was kind of a goal beyond reality, if that makes sense. I definitely don't look like a runner. I brought that up to somebody the other day and they laughed out loud. And so, but I said,
right to your face.
I wanted a goal that was beyond, comfortable. And that was a goal. And I ran 3 marathons and about 5 or 6 half marathons and continue to do that. And that's a biggie, as far as, going to different car races, believe it or not, going to see a Daytona 500.
Yeah.
That's a kind of a thing, did that twice. And again, those are kind of big deals. Indy 500 several times, being amongst thousands. I think I went to the 100th anniversary of Indy 500 and, there was like 300,000 people, if not more there. It was like a ridiculous amount of people there. And then, places, you think something, I had a relative just recently went to Niagara Falls for the first time. They waited there many, many years.
Oh my gosh.
Showed up by accident. And, to me, I've gone to Niagara Falls a handful of times. That was my honeymoon, I guess.
Isn't that everybody's honeymoon?
And, it's one of those kind of places there. How about you, Pam? What's some things you've done that may end up on a bucket list?
Yeah, so I'm trying to think. As you were talking, when I was around 17, I skied quite a bit more than, obviously I did later in life or do now, of course. But I did go on a ski trip when I was in high school, and I skied on one of the Double Diamond slopes.
Oh, and that's the expert hill.
Yeah, and I can tell you, Gary, there's no way I would ever do that again. Never did it again. And in fact, the way I ski today, you would never know that I did do that. But I can tell you, I felt a sense of accomplishment afterwards.
I love skiing. I've been to the places in Vermont and out west, and the Lake Tahoe, Sun Valley, Idaho, and not to Colorado yet. That would be a nice place to ski, but I've also had some tremendous accidents on skis that
right.
kind of changes your.
Oh, it does. Your whole perspective. I have taken a train through the Netherlands, and I would say that was something that might be on somebody's bucket list.
Oh, I bet that was beautiful.
Oh my gosh. It was a fabulous, fabulous trip. I've gone horseback riding through the Arizona, mountains, and on super narrow cliffs, narrow paths on cliffs on a horse. And I can tell you, Gary, that was an adventure that I had no idea how incredibly dangerous that could be. But it was almost exhilarating. It did it at dusk. And so the stars were coming out, and oh my gosh, what a feeling that was to do that.
Yeah. Isn't it something? Yeah, there's dangerous things. I know in college I rode a motorcycle. I think that's probably sometimes on people's bucket list. They now make those three-wheel motorcycles that look a lot more safer. And then even skydiving, I know I did that at an early age. I'd recommend that to people all the way up to 100 can jump out of airplanes now. But
see, I have no desire to jump out of a plane. That's not anything I really want to do.
That's not on your. How about hot air balloons? I know.
Yeah, I'm not big on that either. See, I don't like heights.
Oh, okay. Yeah,
so those things are not as fun to me or something I would want to do.
Yeah. Well, some other things that came to mind when it came to the bucket list that sometimes people put on is, going out on, boat rides and those kinds of things.
Oh, yeah.
Being on sailing, I guess. I'd never owned a boat like that, but I've been on boats that traveled around the Great Lakes here. And enjoyed
me as well.
That type of thing.
And then I can think of many times on Lake Erie on a boat with 10-foot waves, and the boat just dipping water side to side, scared to death, wondering if we'd ever make it to one of the islands, whether it's, Kelly's Island or Putin Bay, because you're in this rough lake.
Oh, yeah. Yes. And I've also been stuck on a sandbar for hours, too.
Oh, my gosh. I have too, Gary. I have too.
It's like, hey, how do we get off the sandbar? Well, we don't. We just wait here. Like,
right.
This is kind of stupid here. But I've done some crazy things too. I think back. Remember the movie? Is it Urban? Was it with John Travolta?
Urban Cowboy.
Urban Cowboy, and riding a mechanical bull. I remember riding one of those ones.
Yes. So I have done that as well. And Gary, I am proud to say, as recently as this summer.
Oh my God.
100%. I did it at a fair.
Okay.
I had to do it. My daughter-in-law and I said, we can do this. Let's do it. And it was really kind of fun. So I felt good about doing it.
Oh, and then there's been some really funny, stupid ones I've done. I got talked into doing a dunk tank one time. Where you're in the water and people throw stuff at.
Were you dunked like one throw after another?
Yes, this one employee is at a nursing home, and it was a nurse, and she didn't like me for some reason. Everybody likes Gary, but she did not like me.
Oh,
she had to pay $1, and she got my kids to dunk me like 20 times. I think she gave them a $20 bill.
They joined her side.
I was floating upside down and everything else in this awful cesspool. But they said, "Hey, you want to jump in there?" The other funny one, I guess this isn't funny, but I got shot when I was younger. Shot. Yes.
Shot by who?
That should, people put down, they want to learn to shoot a gun or those kind of things. But, and so a friend of mine and I got together and we were playing with this BB gun.
Okay, Gary, how old were you?
Old enough to know.
Okay. All right.
And I'm climbing over this fence, and he shoots me in the side with this BB gun.
Yeah.
Isn't that something?
Yeah.
And it goes into the fat of my side, right?
Yeah.
And then he felt guilty, and so he says, "Well, you can shoot me."
Oh, Gary, no, you didn't.
Yeah. So he started running, and I shot him in the back.
Gary, so, I don't even know what to say.
Shoot somebody.
Oh, no. And you said, okay.
And so the story ends with both of us laying on the ground in pain, and it shows you how old I was. My wife pulls in the driveway.
Okay, all right. You were married and had children.
There's no children, but what are you doing laying on the yard in pain? So don't do that.
He shot me, so I shot him. Oh, my gosh, that's horrible.
Fun ones. This podcast is something I don't think I ever read on my bucket list. It might have been on yours, Pam, but this has been a great adventure.
This is a fun adventure. I'm going to admit it. I love doing this and something I never thought I would do. So it made the list.
Yeah. And things like go on.
I was just going to say that when I was in my early 20s, I actually went on it was a roller coaster adventure, right? With a group of people that went around to amusement park after amusement park over a period of time to ride the biggest and the best roller coasters.
Right.
And so that was at a time when, I didn't get sick on a ride, or I didn't have any fear of a ride. And I can tell you, I rode some of the biggest and some of the best roller coasters back in the day. And so I would not do that again today. But looking back over life, I would say that was something that was pretty cool and kind of unique to do.
Yeah. Just a couple other ones that jumped out as things I've done, and then we'll jump into things I'd like to do.
Yeah.
One was sometimes people want to see a bear up close.
Oh, did you see a live bear? Yeah.
And we had a company function in Gatlinburg, and it's part of our customer service approach to our attendees. I was out parking people's cars. Isn't that funny? They would pull up and leave take out their luggage, and then I would offer to take their car and park it for them. Right.
Sure.
And I parked this car, and sure enough, I'm sure they're black bears or something, right? They're in the parking lot eating the garbage, but they're coming around the back. These things kept surprising me.
What do you do? I mean, were you afraid? Did you run? Did you just?
They were just snorting around, moving around. Big bears, just looking for garbage.
Wow.
But it was so funny because, people put on their watch, their bucket list to see that. And that's something that always stood out to me as being something. Another thing that it has to do with once in a lifetime events on bucket lists. And one of them was meteor showers. And when we lived in Massachusetts, there was one that came that you could only see in that part of the world, I guess.
Yeah.
And it was nonstop. It was a meteor shower for hours going over the top of the house. And when you stop and think, I could have kept sleeping. Does that make sense? And missed it. But I remember getting up the kids, and we all went on the backyard and looked at the sky, and it was lit up there, and that was so wonderful to see.
So that reminds me of something so unique and cool. Several years ago, my husband and I were sitting out on our back porch. I don't know, it was 10 o'clock on a summer night, and we're in a deep conversation, and it's something out of a sci-fi movie. All of a sudden, the sky lit up like daylight. Everything turned light. It was no longer dark. We both stopped talking, look up in the sky, watch this light transfer over top of us, illuminates everything. I'm not kidding, like daylight, and then kept going until it turned dark again. We were stuck in time for seconds. What the world, right? We're looking at each other like, what the world? Well, come to find out there was a meteor that passed over our area that night, and it landed in a field, I don't know, 20 miles away. But
incredible.
That was something that...
And that was it. That was it.
Yes. And just something you don't really see in life, so weird.
Oh, yeah. No, that's incredible. I know we had about 2 years ago the space, the Skylab thing, whatever's up in the space there. And they timed this down perfectly. And they said, stand in your yard. And sure enough, it flew over the top of our house, whatever distance it is. But you could follow it for, the whole flight there. It's pretty cool. And, I saw the space shuttle take off, years ago in Florida. I've seen that a couple, is in the middle of the night, got up, went over and saw this NASA taking off. Anyone that's ever near seeing that in Florida, go watch the space shuttle type.
Oh, that's incredibly cool. Yeah. Well, Gary, think about all the things, the crazy things that other people want to do. There's the cool things, the crazy things. It's fun to just, talk about what are on some people's bucket lists. Yeah.
Well, some of the cool things, we can just jump over to there. I think people, I always admire people that want to go see things like the pyramids and these things that are thousands of years old. I'm not into that, but you know what? I am glad people like to do that, want to do that. Is that something you'd ever want to do?
I don't know that it would be on my bucket list, but I would like to do that. I would like to see the pyramids and the old Roman empires and the stadiums or arenas and I think I would like to.
Okay. Or people want to go, to Mount Everest or the Wall of China and see, again, these spectacular types of things. Whenever I think of Mount Everest, it seems cold to me. It seems like you have a risk of dying.
Yes, you do.
Up or coming down. Even safaris to a certain degree. I think that would be a fun thing to do.
Yeah.
But I don't want to be, stampeded by elephants and wild tigers.
Going on a safari is a lot of people's bucket list item. I would love to do it, but I'm not going to go book the safari tomorrow. Here's one that I don't know. I think maybe more people than not have done, but on a lot of people's list is they want to ride a horse on the beach. I say just go to the Outer Banks, and you could do that every day.
You can rent a horse down there. They have something.
They have horses in the Outer Banks everywhere on the beach, and there is one of the areas, one of the towns or cities there that, and I'm sure our listeners will know what the name of it is. It escapes me, where there's wild horses everywhere.
Oh, okay, yeah, I know where that is too. At the Outer Banks type of area.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and then people, want to swim with sharks. Isn't that something?
Well, I feel like it's those cheesy tours you take when you're in the Caribbean or in the Bahamas. You can go, or Belize. I know my husband and I were in Belize, and we did swim with. I'm sure they weren't great white sharks, right? But they were, and dolphins. We swam with the dolphins. Yeah.
Did you see sharks at all?
Yeah, but they weren't the sharks that want to come bite you.
Yeah. No, I'm more probably, I'd love to, it's on somebody else's list than mine, but it's those big speed boats that go like, what are they, banana boats?
Oh, the cigarette boats.
Yeah, cigarette boats or cigar boats. Something like that, right?
Yeah, and they go super fast and they hydroplane.
Yeah, I'm sure that's on people's.
I have done that, and it just scared me to death.
That's probably why I don't want to do that.
Right.
And then, getting the glaciers.
Standing on a glacier.
Standing on a glacier. Now, for me, again, maybe I'm fear of heights too, of the idea of falling off the glacier into the water, having the glacier fall apart. Have you done that, or have you ever thought?
Never. No. I would like to see glaciers. I've not even seen a real glacier, right? So I've not been to Alaska. I've not gone on those cruises or been to Iceland, but I'll tell you what, that would be something on my bucket list. I would like to do that. Yeah. See the Northern Lights.
Now, that's probably on my list somewhere. I'd love to see that. I think you can see that if you get to parts of Michigan, I'm sure.
Mm-hmm.
Up there further like that. And then people that want to go in like caves and stuff like that. I'm not sure.
Yeah, I've been in caves. I'm not a big cave person.
I know that years ago, some people like to go to major events like, the World Series, and my kids have gone to that.
Or the Super Bowl.
The Super Bowl. And I was on the outside of the Super Bowl in Indianapolis, and it's great fun. I didn't go in to see the game. I think the game was $3,000 or something like that. But the idea of being part of festivities is something that I would think other people would want to participate in, and just that whole thing.
So, Gary, there are actually people that, this is kind of, I don't know what to think, that would like to walk away from an explosion. That they would like to be near an explosion, experience it in a weird way, but be able to walk away unharmed.
Oh, yeah. I think I'm probably one of those people, but, things blow up. It's kind of cool. I remember went down they were going to knock this bridge down over the zoo in Cleveland.
Yeah.
And everybody's there. Brought my kids. We're all standing there at the fence, and you hear all these popping sounds, and the bridge didn't come down. Right, they messed up.
Yes.
So then they had to send some poor fools in there to kind of relight the thing, I guess.
Oh my gosh!
Came down. We went home because we knew it would take forever to do.
Yeah. Or what about going to the Amazon rainforest?
Yeah.
Would you want to do that?
See, I don't like those big lizards. Lizards and snakes aren't on my list of things I want to hang out with. And it seems like these jungles are full of lizards and snakes, aren't they?
Yeah, so I've decided that jungles are not a place I want to visit because did you ever watch Naked and Afraid?
Oh, yeah.
The show, and a lot of times they're in the Amazon. And I'll tell you, that environment, I'm like, no, that's not a place I want to go.
Yeah, they're standing and sleeping in water, and people that attract bugs. See, I don't attract mosquitoes. If I'm in the middle of somewhere, I'm fortunate I don't get any mosquito bites. But like my wife, if she was there, she'd last about 4 hours before she's covered with bites.
Me too. I have that skin that mosquitoes just cling to. They bring their friends. I'm eaten alive within minutes. Yes.
I'm sure that's on people's bucket list. Let's get naked and go sit in the swamps.
Yeah, no thanks.
Right. Pass on that. And then, what's funny is there's some things that are just stupid things on people's bucket list. And that's one of them. But maybe we can, I came up with a couple that I thought were pretty stupid here. I just wrote it down. It's like, you remember that TV show Fear Factor?
Oh, I loved it with Joe Rogan. Loved it.
Yeah. And they, he'd get people's heads in a box and it was all full of cockroaches and everything.
Yes. And they'd have to lay in those bins or those glass, I don't know, coffins with snakes crawling all over them. Oh,
yeah. I have maybe other people are into that. I don't like the idea of having things crawling all over me and things in the dark like that type.
No, not at all.
What
about,
some people just say,
go ahead, Gary.
Oh, somebody put on a bucket list. I saw it said they want to spend a night in jail. I can probably pass on that.
Yeah, I don't want to spend a real jail with.
Yeah. I guess I'm not sure. You could be undercover person and kind of enjoy that. But
what about sleeping in a haunted house? Would you do that?
Yeah, I'm not into that. I'm not into that either. But,
I would do that with my husband. I would. I think he would be the only person that I might succumb to that because there's that thing about fear, right? You don't want to be afraid, but yet there's something exciting about, like, I like going to the haunted houses at Halloween.
Oh yeah. And the idea then I don't know. I kind of grew up in a haunted house a little bit. We had some creepy things happen around our house. So I can kind of relate to that.
We'll have to talk about that sometime.
Yeah. The other thing that kind of comes to mind is people that want to go see like a nuclear silo or some kind of weird kind of place that's kind of like not always like on the tourist list of things to go see. I had somebody tell me their bucket list, they want to be in a riot.
Okay, I can't even understand that. What? Well, they're happening everywhere right now, so I'm sure it might be, unfortunately, possible.
If you get hit in the head with a brick or smell that gas, that just doesn't seem, like a good kind of thing to do. What's on your list? Yeah, what's on your list, Pam, as we're kind of talking here?
Like things I would personally like to do?
Yeah.
So, gosh, I think I would love to go to the Fiji Islands. And I just feel like it would be very beautiful, or Bora Bora. And I think that would be on my bucket list. Another one would be like a 21-day European tour, kind of a high luxury tour where you stayed in fabulous places and saw everything you could possibly see in 3 weeks, which probably is not enough time or maybe too much time. I don't know. I love cruises. People go on these world cruises, Gary.
Oh yeah, that's on my list.
I'm thinking I might like that.
Yeah, I think that's something that's interesting. My daughters and my wife's gone on a couple of those, and everyone that comes back from a cruise always says it's a great deal and it's a great experience.
Yes. What about you? What's on your bucket list?
Well, I actually have one coming up in about a week or two, and that's I'm over in Iowa these days, and I'm going to truck on over to Mount Rushmore. It's only about 5 or 6 hours away, and I've never been there. I wanted to do it, so I might as well knock that one off my list. I always want to win the lottery.
Okay, well, who doesn't? I think that's on everybody's bucket list.
I think that would always be, it doesn't have to be the millions of dollars, but it'd be cool to win something that's more than a free ticket.
I agree with that.
Iceland, I hear great things about Iceland, and I've asked relatives that have been there, and they've all said that's probably one of the best places you could ever go on a vacation or experience those things. Going to the Olympics, we recently had the Olympics on. I think,
that's a cool one as well.
I think just the excitement of seeing the very, very best athletes in the world doing their thing, and just the crowds, and
just getting caught up in the venue.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
And then some crazy things, obviously it'd be interesting to see a volcano. I mean, if I was
like a live volcano.
I think just the magnitude of seeing things, the power of something like that.
So we don't live in the South at all, and I'm sure there's many, many people that live by the ocean that have been through hurricanes. There are people that are storm chasers, right? And they do it as adventure. They want to get into the eye, or not the eye, but the center of the funnel. They want to, of a tornado. They want to, chase the hurricane. They want to go stand in the wind. Do you have any of those feelings?
Oh, well, this has been a number of years ago. I come out of this hotel and everyone's standing in the parking lot going, "Did you see that?" And I said, "See what?" And they said, "The tornado just went over the top of us."
Yeah.
Right? So I jump in my little rental car. It was hilarious. And I take off down the road.
You chased it.
I chased it. I didn't see it. I got to a point where I'm in some field and the clouds were swirling and coming down. But it was the most ridiculous thing. You need two people, by the way. You just don't want to be the guy driving and looking at the sky.
So in my life, I've been through two tornadoes where I've seen the funnel clouds. The most memorable one was when I was around, 16, 17. I was just driving. I worked at Geauga Lake Park, an amusement park. And I was working down on their boat ride on the lake. And we had tornado warnings all over the place. Of course, there's still people in the park. Back then, the sirens weren't going off back when, when I was working there. And all of a sudden, people started screaming, and I was at the bottom of a hill, looked up. We saw 3 funnel clouds coming towards us. And I'm not kidding you, Gary. There were people that literally jumped into the lake to submerge themselves. And I followed the group that went to the ditch, kind of along the bottom of the hill, and laid there for dear life. And I got to tell you, kind of, at the time, I was terrified, and of course, we were fine. It went the other way; it didn't go over top of us. But in thinking back, that was an adventure.
Oh my gosh! I can't imagine these people jumping in the water though.
They did. Some people just got frightened.
Oh my goodness! Yeah. So the other things that come to mind that are on my list, I guess, would be I'm fascinated by Guinness Book of World Records.
Would you like to be in Guinness?
And I think it would be interesting to come up with something kind of like obscure.
Like what would that be?
Obscure. Who knows? Somebody that can, I don't know, do cartwheels, do something bizarre that's, but you look up these things and you got to do them for like days.
No, days on end, hours.
I don't know what. I'm sure it'd be some kind of physical feat of staying awake for an amount of time or sleeping for an amount of time, something like that. And then I'm always fascinated by, and I've never done it, like a snowmobile or a jet ski. I really think
You've never snowmobiled?
I don't think I've ever snowmobiled.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. For me, that's probably one of the most, fun, exhilarating things to do.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I like that.
It'd be great on that. And the jet ski idea, this will never happen, but it should be on my list. See, I think it'd be fun to take that, we live in northern Ohio, take that to Niagara Falls almost, you know what I mean? Just follow the coastline for a long ways, or do something like that, or take it through the intercoastal, is that what the name is? Along down in Florida where you could actually not be in the middle of the ocean doing it. Right.
I'm not about being in the middle of the ocean on a jet ski. That's for sure.
Yeah. And then, just weird things like that. Probably tied in also. I've never really been in a really fancy sports car. I thought that would be neat.
What's your dream car? What is it?
If they had like some kind of Ferrari, or you can get into like an Indy 500 car and have somebody else driving it. You just kind of hang on, in the side seat.
So do you know what my husband did one year?
No, nobody did.
He went with his dad, I think it was to Alabama, to the Porsche. Oh my gosh, it was a Porsche driving racetrack, or I can't even think of the appropriate name.
BMW has something like that too.
Yes, and he went and he learned how to go very, very fast in a Porsche, and exhilarating, right? I mean, that is kind of a bucket list thing as well.
Oh, that is so cool.
Yeah.
And then I've always been fascinated by cooking. I'm not a cook. I wish I was a cook. My wife's a great cook. Of just taking a cool cooking class that would be fun, and make some things and see how simple that is. Why isn't that on my list to back that off in the next few months? You know what I mean?
Gary, maybe you and I should decide to take one thing that is not so complicated, and we will do one thing every 2 months.
It'd be our adventure.
That would be our adventure, and we'll share it with our listeners.
We can start off something easy, like learning to draw, cartoons or something. But,
I thought you were like learning to bake a cake.
And yoga. Everyone that does yoga loves yoga.
Yes.
I wish I could stick my, legs straight in the air and, bend my back all the way down and touch my toes that way.
Well, so maybe if you start practicing, you could. This would be your Guinness. This would be your Guinness entry.
The guy that can contort his body.
Yes.
In so many different ways.
Yes.
But I think anything related to cooking or, one thought that came up was family cooking recipes. My grandmother made this, some kind of rice pudding. And I swear I've spent the last 40 years trying to convince, find any relative that knows how to make it as well as my grandmother made.
Yeah.
What I mean? I wish there was more family recipes passed along to the next generation. And maybe they are. Do you have anything like that from your mom?
So, I probably do. But just to comment on what you're saying, it occurred to me that a bucket list does not have to be an expensive, huge, faraway adventure. When I hear you talk about cooking or the family recipes or learning to do yoga, these are just personal ambitions that you would love to accomplish someday in life. And I think that is really fun. And maybe we should start thinking more about those kinds of bucket list adventures. That I guess I never really thought of those things as that.
Yeah. Well, I know when I was sharing this topic with my kids recently and we were talking about bucket lists, and they said, think of it in shorter terms. What do you want to, if the world was going to get hit by a meteor in a week, what would you really regret not being able to do? See what I'm saying?
Yes.
That's a great place to start too. And that helped with some of the things, like I said, Mount Rushmore. Hey, I'm 5 or 6 hours from this place. Why don't I just get in my car and take off?
How cool. I love it.
You know what I'm saying? And so, but, there's things like that are places, but there's events. But, it always boils back to just also who you're doing things with, right? So your friends, your family, and that's who you're trying to enjoy it with. No one's going to care if you do it by yourself and nobody knows.
Yeah, so, I agree with that. I think things on a bucket list are all about feel good, accomplish something that maybe you never thought you could, and then being with people that you really, truly enjoy to be with. That's the best. Well, Gary, we reached the end of another podcast today.
Another bucket list.
Oh my gosh, we did, Gary. We accomplished our goal here today. Well, everyone, thank you so much for listening to us. Please subscribe. Please share our podcast. Thanks, everyone. Talk to you next time.